and the wages. If I go to Africa, South Africa, it's the diamond mining, okay? If I go to Singapore, it may be to take advantage of the financial systems, okay? I'm leveraging advantages that are identified by certain country locations. A lot of companies buy chips from where? For their computers. They buy them from Silicon Valley, California, okay? Big electronics chip manufacturing area, okay? That's a leverage type of comparative advantage. Everybody see that? Now, we're going to talk about domestic competitive advantage, which is much different from this. Comparative advantage is just the natural existence of a particular product or service that's available or element that's available in a country. Has nothing to do with the government. That comes in the next slide. Advantage utilized by a business operating in a country where its products make intensive use of valuable resources readily available in that country. And people can be a resource, knowledge can be a resource, minerals can be a resource, okay? So if I'm into silver, I may move my business to a country where there's a lot of silver, or copper. I may move my business to a country where there's a lot of copper mining, and so on. Or I may move my business to Mumbai, where there's a large engineering faction there. I need a lot of engineering help. I may go to India and leverage some of the engineering intelligence that exists there. Or I may move my business to China, again, as in Bangladesh, to take advantage of the labor market or favorable wage rates and so on, okay? So examples of comparative advantage are leveraging technology, leveraging human skills, management capability, capital markets, like a Singapore, communication facilities, transportation, natural resources. I may leverage a company's some countries may have a better transportation for importing and exporting product, okay? I may leverage that. So the natural resource or natural elements of a country may give a company what we consider comparative advantage. You have one question on your exam about that, if you select that particular question. I think it's the B part of a question, is define comparative advantage. Everybody understand it? Okay. If you had to give an advantage, you can use the labor and the Bangladesh example. Is a good example to use, okay? Now, national competitive advantage, a little different. Don't want to confuse you. I want to make sure you understand the difference between the two. National competitive advantage is the features of a local environment that provide competitive advantage for organizations located there. And it is represented by the 4 factors of Porter's diamond. Each point of the diamond can be influenced by the home country's government to support the organization's competitiveness. This is not on your exam, but the difference between national competitive advantage and comparative advantage is national competitive advantage gets a boost from the government. The government influences certain businesses, certain availability to resources, to knowledge, to education, to transportation, to infrastructure, to attract more companies. That's national competitive advantage. Doesn't occur naturally like comparative. It's artificially produced by favorable government interference. That's the difference between the two, okay? So, government influence in a national competitive industry would include things like providing effective education and training, encouraging more research and development, ensuring good transport infrastructure, favorable tax rates, tariffs, and permit costs. So the government kind of sticks their nose into private industry to try to attract more people to their country. Okay? That is national competitive advantage. So there's a government component to that as opposed to comparative advantage. Everybody see the difference? Okay, so I want to make sure you understand that. Porter's Diamond, again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with it. It looks at national competitive advantage, and it looks at factor conditions, it looks at related supporting industries, strategy, structure, rivalry, and demand. And I add little add-ons here. So one is factors of production, one is development of supply chain efficiencies, one is domestic rivalry, and the other is high customer demand results. You don't need to know this for your exam. It's a good graphic to have as a reference. Maybe somewhere in the next 50 years you might use this. It appears in your book twice. It appears in your slides twice. The first time I blew it off. The second time I included it, okay? But it's not on your exam. But it's something you should be aware of. So if you're looking at national competitive advantage, this is what you refer to. The criticism of Porter's model here, the diamond model, is globalization has basically kind of overtaken this. It's not quite as effective anymore. And a lot of strategic classes, they're not putting a lot of emphasis on Porter's Diamond. Some classes, they don't even study it, okay? Five forces model, yes. My last strategic management class, we had the five forces model. We did not have Porter's Diamond because the Porter's Diamond is more domestically integrated, okay? Structured foreign market entry approach. So this is also in your book, according to Mr. Root. I don't remember his first name. So Mr. Root, structured approach. Number one, assess the product in relation to the market. So what is our product in relation to the market? Choose the right product for the right market. Is that a critical component for globalization? Yeah. If I own, as an example, if I own my manufacturing company makes baby products, okay? We make carriages, we make changing tables, we make plastic baby bottles, we make diapers, we make baby powder, whatever else they make for babies. We make baby products. I'm looking to expand my business globally. So my marketing person comes to me and says to me, you know where there's a real big growing market is China. I think we should start to target China to sell our baby products. Would that be a good move? Why? China has a lot of people, don't they? Yeah, you see, unless you happen to know that, that's an example of, are we choosing the right product for the right market? In that case, it wouldn't be. Why? Because China has a government-enforced law of one child per family. So if I'm going to expand my baby product business, China ain't the place, okay? I want to go where there's more multiple births, which is why we look at things like that when we're writing strategy. I mean, we talk about demographics, but part of that demographic that we look at is aging populations, and birth rates is another one. You know, where are the biggest birth rates? That's where I want to expand my market for my baby manufacturing business. That doesn't sound right. Baby product manufacturing business. Baby manufacturing business, doesn't sound very good. Second thing in Root's entry approach, set up objectives and goals utilizing sales targets and growth expectations. So don't blindly just decide, oh, I just want to expand globally for the namesake of being a global company. I have to have specific objectives and goals and targets, okay? What are targets? Targets are expectations, deliverables, okay? The third part of Root's entry approach is choose the entry mode. How are we going to enter the market? And this ties into a question on your exam, which we'll cover in another slide. Choose the entry mode. Do I want to export? Do I want to license? Do I want to direct invest? Or do I want to go joint venture? And the last part is design a marketing plan including issues of price, promotion, and distribution. All that's important, according to Mr. Root in your book. Did everybody read Mr. Root? Did anybody read the book? No. Okay, there they are. Well, now you have it. Getting towards the end here. Dunning's eclectic theory. All the theories came in at the end. Dunning's eclectic theory of market entry, an approach for selecting the best global market entry mode. Number one, the organization must possess a competitive advantage that can be used in the market. The best use of the organization's capability is through market entry rather than exporting. So if we simply export to a foreign country to be globalized, according to Mr. Dunning's eclectic theory, that's not the best strategy. Don't use exporting. Third is the location selected must provide at least one desirable characteristic that can be combined with capabilities advantageously. So if I'm going into a global market, I'm expanding my business, I need to have at least one desirable characteristics: large workforce, low cost of labor, favorable government regulation, okay, low tariffs, low taxes, a good transportation system. There has to be something that is going to increase our competitive advantage. That's according to Mr. Dunning. Did you want that on your exam? Oh, that's good, because I didn't put it there. So, organizing global operations. We have product or service, regional, and customer. Domestic strategy is driven by mission, vision, values, and objectives. Global strategy can be driven by the orientation towards specific global behaviors selected by an organization. So those behaviors or orientations are product, service, regional, or customer. So we're getting cut off here. I think I have to adjust my screen. Divisions based around specific products or services are formed in countries targeted for such products. An example, HP Computer partners with LG to share technology to open up the Asian market to HP. So HP's product or service strategy is, I will partner with LG, I will provide and share technology with LG. In exchange, LG opens up the Asian market. That's a product or service operation strategy. A regional would be organization divides itself into divisions that focus on regions to leverage opportunities, such as Coca-Cola. They leverage, okay, different regions such as the European Union, Saudi Arabia, Middle East in general, okay? Coca-Cola looks at regional opportunities. The European Union is a group of countries, it's a region. The GCC countries are a region. Where does Coca-Cola make its product? They make it in Saudi, they also make it in Elaine, okay? The customer side is organizations form separate customer service divisions to meet needs of specific targeted countries. So an example is Lufthansa Airlines, they have or formed a customer service divisions in the United States specifically to address customer needs, specifically, okay? Because they have a very large U.S. market for Lufthansa Airlines, okay? So in order to keep those customers, they've expanded globally, but only on their customer service side, okay? Global business structures, multi-domestic, multinational, global, transnational. These are also in your book. There is a very fine line, just so you know, I'll mention it in advance. There's a very fine line between what is a multinational and what is a transnational, okay? And we'll get to it. I will tell you that it's a very fine distinction, but I want to make sure you understand it. It's not on your exam, but you need to understand it. So a multi-domestic global business is where an organization clones itself and sets up replicas in different countries, such as Philips. Philips opens a medical electronics in the US and Japan. Identical operations, it clones itself. It worked in Japan, it'll work in the US, okay? That's a multi-domestic business structure. Multinational, you've probably heard of. Usually you see multinational organizations are abbreviated MNC, MNC, multinational corporation. That is evolving now. They are now referring to them in more current textbooks as MNEs, which are multinational enterprises. Why they changed from corporation to enterprise, I don't know. So a multinational is a corporation or an enterprise, if you're more currently read, with extensive ties in international operations in more than one foreign country. And that's very common. That's probably the big corporations that we look at are usually multinationals. General Electric, Exxon, Walmart, Mitsubishi, Daimler Chrysler, and so on. Those are multinationals, okay? So they operate in more than one foreign country. They don't just sell to a foreign country, they have operations there. That's the difference, okay? Global business structure, balancing global integration and national differentiation. I talked about this in our opening slide. Set up a global network of activities. So what we're talking about here is global integration versus national differentiation. What I sell in certain countries is differentiated, but some products I sell are global, meaning they are the same. As an example, Procter & Gamble uses global standardization when they sell Pringles potato chips and some of their perfumes. But they use national differentiation when they sell hair coloring and laundry detergent. Those are more differentiated products that are appealing in some countries. So some products are differentiated by country, and other products are just the same because they're just sold globally the same way. And like I said that earlier. If you buy Pringles potato chips here, it's the same you're buying in New York. It's the same you may buy in Moscow. Except the ones you buy in Moscow are much colder. But other than that, they're the same. I'm just seeing if you're listening to me. That's why I throw those things out there. Because somebody will say, really? They're colder there? Yeah. Same product under different names? A lot of that is branding. And you're right. Also, when you say it's the same product, it's not always exactly the same. It may be similar, but different formulations, okay? Like laundry detergents is a common one, yeah. Some laundry detergents are sold under different names. But there still may be some formulation difference, okay? Also, you know what remember we talked about product substitutes, okay? As part of Porter's 5 forces model. What a lot of companies do to prevent, it's a good question, and I have a good answer, I think. In order to prevent another company from coming out, we'll take laundry detergent. In order to prevent a competitor from coming out with a substitute that's going to compete with my brand, what I do is I come out with my own substitute. So if a customer prefers to buy the substitute over my brand, they're still buying my brand.
Well, that's a substitute. You talk about the same product design.
The company has the same product, but they sell it under a different name. So my Tide laundry detergent, okay, I sell it under Acme laundry detergent. It's the same product, but a different name, right? Is that what you're saying? That's not what you're saying.
Is that legal?
Yeah, of course it's legal. You can sell as many brand names as you want. Brand names don't mean anything. No, explain to me what and then maybe I'm not understanding your question. What?
For example, let's go for automobile industrial business. Chrysler, they have Jeep Cherokee in the Gulf. The USA, they call it Liberty.
Yeah, right.
It's the same.
Same car. Yeah, well, you know what? That's an interest. Oh, is that what you're talking about? No, he's saying no, so you're wrong. Nice try, though. I was good. What?
Chemicals, they have a product called Persil.
Persil. Laundry detergent, Persil, yeah, okay.
In Algeria, it has a different name, but
Yeah.
it's the same design product,
Yeah, okay,
same layout.
yeah. And the question is, why does a company do that? Well, again, I think because in some case, maybe the substitute product name they use in a different country already has an established following. Maybe originally they were two different products. Or I still think my original answer is right. Substitute. Some customers will buy the substitute product when in essence it's really the same as the other product being sold in a different country. Maybe there's a brand loyalty name. I mean, it could be a lot of different reasons. I don't know exactly, but there could, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, like I said, it could be a cultural thing. It could be a brand name, a loyalty factor. It may be, maybe they want to keep the financials different. They want to see how does this product sell in this country versus that country, and the best way to track it is to have it in that country under a different name.
Sometimes we use it actually to protect the market from the neighboring countries, because sometimes we are expanding the products, from country to another. So we use it just to protect the market.
Protect it from what?
From the branding, the same branding
Yeah, but that's substitution.
same company, same product.
Yeah. But my whole point of my first answer, if I want to prevent a competitor from coming out with a substitute product to mine, then I manufacture the substitute product. So now I have two products out of the same, but they look different. Okay, and I keep a competitor out. Okay, the answer to the automobile question. Okay, why do I have a Jeep Wrangler and a Liberty? Was that the question? Cherokee and a Liberty. You know what? For many years, and I'll give you the perfect example. For many years, Ford Motor Company, okay, used to manufacture the exact same car. One was a Ford and one was a Mercury. Okay, one was called the Ford Taurus, and the Mercury was called the Mercury Monarch. I think it was the Monarch. Sable, yes. Identical cars. Why? Well, they manufactured their own substitute. The brand loyalty, some people, I only buy a Mercury. Well, when you're only buying a Mercury, in essence, you're buying a Ford. So I put out the Ford, I have a Ford Taurus, and on the Mercury brand name, it's called a Sable. It's the same car, because I used to rent them all the time. And I always said, yeah. But some people just have brand loyalty, so I'd rather have the Mercury. But for Ford, they didn't have to redesign anything to make two different cars because they really weren't different. The only different was they put a different nameplate. One was called a Sable, one was called a Taurus, but it was basically the same car. And maybe the Sable maybe had a couple of extra options. Yeah, maybe they had a moonroof. Yeah, that's the way business operates. It gives business the look of product differentiation when there really isn't any. Okay, it's a marketing gimmick. Yes.
Sometimes the same brand, like as you said, like Pringles, they sell specially like for Saudi Arabia. It's the same brand, it's Pringles, but they bought it specially for Saudi Arabia, or they sell.
They probably put cardamom in it.
Coca-Cola.
It's a joke. See, these guys laugh, they nod, they get everything here.
Is multinational or transnational?
I didn't get to transnational yet, so let me explain it. It's multinational. No, that's not the difference. Let me get to my transnational. We got to get out of here. Oh my gosh, we only have a half hour to get finished and get to our exam. I have to move. So transnational is a multinational that operates worldwide without being identified with a national home base. The example is Nestle. You know, if you think of Microsoft, you equate them with their home base in Redmond, Washington. If you think of General Motors, you think of them as being located in Detroit, Michigan. But where's the home base for Nestle? Nestle chocolates. They're everywhere. They don't have a defined home base. That's a strategy. Because that way they're almost like a domestic company in every part of the globe. Okay? That is a transnational strategy, a transnational organizational structure. Okay? Nestle is a good example. Okay? Hey, I got to move because we're falling behind. Otherwise, we won't have any time for the exam. Born global. What does that mean? Born global, establishing rapid global growth through partnerships, acquisitions, and subsidiary establishment. So there are 4 characteristics of born global. Establish the business on the basis of international transactions. Alternative governance structures enable them to access important resources. Utilization of advantages particular to foreign location, and control over unique resources. Basically what they're saying is, how does a company become globalized in a much faster method? And the obvious answer, in order to gain overnight globalization, the easiest way is to acquire another company that is global. That's the quickest way. And that's what a lot of organizations do. They call them born global. They buy their way into globalization. Okay? They don't evolve, they buy it. Tyco did that for years. Global strategy and success: maintain flexibility, limit risk, reduce the level of hierarchy, encourage innovation, adopt standard practice, consider your size and your exposure. The bigger you get, the more exposure you have, just like the human body. Communication and public relations. See, they get it. They're sharp, these guys. They get it. Communication and public relations and management of international supply, and manage impact of internet. That's global. Internet, it brings a global element to most organizations. Corporate social responsibility. What would one of our chapters be without some mention of corporate social responsibility? Okay, we always talk about that. Outsourcing, focus on business, diversification, persistence, scope, and resources. That is it.